Welcome to the tour, the 2017 Ram Promaster conversion. That is both the driver's and passenger's seats swiveled around. Obviously they can be put back in the normal position for driving purposes. That is the backup camera, so you don't have any accidents backing this thing up. Here is the stove. This is a Wedgwood Vision 2-burner propane stove. And this is plumbed in directly to the propane tank with copper tubing. It's all been flared and fitted. There's shut-offs as well in case you need to do any maintenance on this. It's mounted directly into the butcher block countertop with a backsplash. The front cabinet features a Douglas fir laser engraved on the front, and you'll see a lot of Doug fir. We went with that motif for this whole build. These cabinet faces are all cherry. These were milled by us. The frame is maple. Those knobs are taiga nuts. That's a hardwood style nut. It's very, very dense. Pulling this open, here's your drawer. And these are all custom cabinets. This is not IKEA furniture that we just bought and bolted into the van. As you can see in that video, it also has a soft close feature. So when you close the drawer, that last little bit closes on itself. Bam. These stainless steel Southco latches open up, and they're designed so the cabinet doors don't open as you're driving. If you lift the latch, that allows the door to be opened. So these are the same style hardware they use on sailboats for very similar reasons. You're in a small space, you don't want the doors popping open on you when you're traveling. Under there you have a lot of storage. That closes as such. There's a teak spice rack there. We just put a few mason jars in there so you can get a rough idea of how big it is. The cabinets going across the top. Again, maple framing. Instead of the cherry, we went with a red oak for the face of these cabinets, and with more of that Doug fir laser engraving with the taiga nut knobs. So these open up like so. Those hinges keep the doors open and gives you space inside for storage. And you have 6 all the way down that side. Underneath there's a paper towel holder, also made out of teak. And here we have 5 little hooks. So these hooks fold up out of the way when not in use. And if you want to use one, you simply pull it out, hang your jacket, your hat, and that clicks back into space. Right, here's the inverter. This is a 1000 watt pure sine Renogy inverter. You can see on the top there's 2 outlets, the on-off switch, and a USB port. You could charge your devices right there or plug into one of these two outlets. There is a shutoff valve for the stove. You can see the copper pipe coming out. That little box is built to protect the copper pipe. Down here is the CO2 and propane gas detector. This is hardwired right into the battery. So if any gas leaks happen, this alarm will go off and notify you. Moving up, we have the remote meter for the charge controller. So this gives you information that you will need to know about your battery, your solar, but instead of having to go back to the garage area, you can view this at a glance from the main cabin. This is an isotherm Cruise 130 refrigerator / freezer. Here you have space for storing drinks and condiments, multiple shelves, a slide out drawer in the bottom, and this small freezer here with the world's smallest ice cube maker. That little tray right there. Next to that, these two switches operate the lights. We have a LED strip on this side, and on this side, 4 puck style lights underneath the cabinets. So these switches operate those lights. We put them here so you could turn them on and off from the bed area. The width of this is a full size. The length is slightly shorter than a full size. We had to trim off a little bit of that mattress because the width of the van only allows so much space. I'm going to kind of show you some of the LED puck lights on this side. And moving on to the other side, you're going to see the LED strip light. So the LED strip light is mounted on aluminum strip to displace the heat. And you can see here we made these little aluminum spacers to hold that whole light fixture out away from the wall. And below that, we have the sink area. That's a deep stainless steel sink. Off to the right is a built-in soap dispenser. Again, more Doug fir laser engraving, the familiar stainless steel latch. Down here is how you operate this, the sink. Instead of running an electric sink, where you have to turn on the faucet, maybe you're familiar with that in your house, which is very wasteful with water. Now when you're dealing with something like a van conversion, you really want to be conservative with your water. And I found that these little pumps really allow you to be thrifty with how much water you're using to wash dishes. The way that operates, it's mounted right here next to your feet, and you simply press down and you have running water. So not only are you using less water this way, because you're only getting water when you push down the foot pump, it's also more hygienic. By not having to turn on any knobs, if your hands are dirty, you're not cross-contaminating by touching a knob before you get a chance to actually wash your hands. So if you go into a doctor's or a dentist's office, they all have foot-operated style controls. They don't usually have a pump, but for RV application, we like the whale gusher style pump. Underneath here, where most people you'd see a gray water tank, we left this all open for more storage space. You can see it's plumbed for the gray water to drain out to the rear, which brings it to the garage area. That's where we tucked some of the less aesthetically pleasing parts of the van build. And I'll go around back and show you where that leads to. But I wanted to show how much space is available in here. Again, stainless steel locking hardware. So some of this trim, we're pretty proud of this. A lot of van builds we've seen, this is kind of a raw, ugly edge. And we put a lot of time and effort into cleaning this whole area up, making this look nice. That's all stainless steel hardware. Make it as beautiful as we can. Over top, there's a storage area on the Promaster. And what those are the blackout curtains. Each one of the windows in this van has its own curtain. There's snaps mounted on the curtain, and then a corresponding snap all around the perimeter of the windows. So the curtains simply snap into place. We made the outside of the curtain black, so it looks just like a darkened van. And the inside of the curtain is a nice pleasant blue, kind of a topographical pattern on there. So those cover each, the passenger's window, the driver's window, and the windshield. We also have coverings for each of the rear windows and the sliding window that's built into the door. A little bit more laser engraving up here. We replaced all these plastic panels that come with the van with these nice wood panels, more stainless hardware. And this window opens up right here for ventilation. Close that so I can actually open it. There we go. Screen to keep the bugs out and provide a cross breeze. Your other main ventilation is up here on the roof. Hopefully you don't get seasick as I spin the camera around. But I wanted to show you the Max Air fan that we installed. These are much, much better than the Fantastic fans. You can keep them open even when it's raining, and even while driving. You can be tooling down the road at 75 miles an hour in a rainstorm and not experience any moisture coming into your main cabin. This simply opens with a knob, series of controls, variable speeds, on and off, reverse direction. And stepping back, sitting in the passenger style sides cabin here, you can see the walls and the ceiling are all rough sawn hemlock. A lot of texture in this build. We wanted to make it very similar to a cabin, an outdoorsy feel. Again, all stainless hardware throughout that build. You can see here those main panels above the rear windows are also replaced with wood, more laser engraving. And one of these pieces that we're really proud of that we figured out how to fix is covering up this area. That's a solid piece of cherry. Now if you bear with me here, we're going to exit the vehicle. I'm going to bring you around to the back and show you the garage. Opening up both rear doors shows you the garage space. So we tried to keep some of the less aesthetically pleasing aspects of the build. Underneath the bed, out of sight. This is a Viking 22-pound propane tank. I don't know if you've seen one of these before. This is the first time I've seen one when we're building this van. It's a fiberglass style container, so unlike a steel container, it won't explode if it's exposed to fire or puncture, and it's very lightweight. Picking one of these up, even when it's full, a lot easier than picking up a full steel tank like we're probably familiar with from if you have a barbecue at home. So to mount this, we created an aluminum cage. You can see the base of the cage here, and then on 3 sides there are arms that come up and create a cradle. This is bolted directly through the frame of the vehicle and held on with 2 bungee attachments. So if you need to refill your tank, you simply undo the bungees, disconnect the high flow meter, take it in and get it filled. Those hoses are for the water tanks, which I will show you here. Water tanks. We have a 15-gallon freshwater tank on top and a 15-gallon gray water tank on the bottom. Now these are nestled in another cage that we built out of steel this time. So that is bolted directly to the frame through the vehicle and provides a safe and secure attachment system so those tanks aren't going to go floating around as you're turning and going over speed bumps. The strap's going over the top, cinch them down tight. This is to drain your gray water. This is where your gray water comes in from the sink. On the freshwater tank, this hose heads to the sink, that clear one. And then to fill it, there's a brass valve right here. This simply remove, and there's a normal garden hose thread on there, so you can just easily pull up anywhere that has a garden hose attachment point and fill up your water. That is a 50 amp hour lithium battery, a 20 MPPT amp charge controller, and all the wiring that goes with it. There's your bus box with all your fuses. And you have a little bit of storage in this area, and even back here. Not a lot of storage in the garage. This is mainly a place to house your water, your battery, your charge controller, and the propane. You can see some of that copper piping too, right here. That heads over to the stove area. And there's a little bit more of the paneling that we replaced. Promaster comes with plastic paneling. We cut nice pieces of wood for the bottom and the top. More laser engraving. Backup cameras up top. And that's pretty much it. Hit us up with any questions. We're more than happy to answer them.